From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, normalcy gradually returns to Oriire communities in Oyo State as rescued peoples and teachers reunite with families, schools reopen, businesses resume, security remains, and injured victims receive treatment. Senate President Godswill Akpabio announces 50 million naira support package for 5 Oriire kidnapping victims and families in Oyo State following the recent abduction incident. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, says the proposed state police bill includes constitutional safeguards against abuse, prevents political control, and allows federal intervention where state police services fail. And Iran threatens to block more trade routes as U.S. military launches second wave of strikes. On business news, Nigeria's inflation rate slows to 15.91% in June, the first decline in 3 months despite rising food prices.
On sports news tonight, Argentina qualifies for the final of the FIFA World Cup. Stay with us.
From the nation's capital, presidency defends 40 housing units for judges, rejects claim of influence as Attorney General describes project Judicial Welfare Intervention. Begin tonight in Oriire local government area of Oyo State, where life is gradually returning to normal following the release of the abducted pupils and teachers as families reunite with their loved ones. Businesses are reopening, daily activities are picking up, and students sitting for examinations are continuing without interruption despite the recent security challenge. A visit to the communities revealed heightened security presence, which residents say has boosted their confidence and giving them the courage to move forward after the traumatic incident. Meanwhile, 9 victims are still receiving treatment at the Lautech Teaching Hospital in Obomosho with hopes of reuniting with their families very soon.
Ahuru, Esiele and Yawata, once quiet rural communities, became the center of national attention after children were abducted from their classrooms. The peace these communities had enjoyed for decades was shattered by the deadly May 15 attack. Schools closed, businesses shut down, and many residents fled for safety. Today, life is gradually returning. Though the memories remain painful, residents are determined to rebuild and reclaim the peace they once knew. From traders and artisans to farmers and gari sellers, daily activities are picking up once again in Ahuru Dada, Yawata and Esiele. Schools have reopened and students fresh from their examinations are returning home in large numbers, refusing to let fear define their future. One teacher says the release of the abducted pupils and colleagues has brought relief, but anxiety still lingers.
They were happy that the students in captivity were released, but you see, I see that fear that some of them will be asking, okay, when are they going to bring soldiers and police that will be looking after us? So we will just assure them that the government is doing their best to ensure that there will be security.
Parents, overwhelmed with emotion, say they are grateful to see their children back home, even as they struggle to come to terms with the ordeal. Residents, however, insist that lasting peace will depend on stronger security, improved road networks, and better public services.
This is my community, and I will not pay my community to collapse because my father that I'm talking today, who is who attended. So I will not let school to collapse. So by the grace of God, so we get back to school.
Meanwhile, the remaining 9 victims are still receiving treatment. The Chief Medical Director of Lautech Teaching Hospital, Ogbomoso, says arrangements have been made to ensure continued care and rehabilitation after their discharge.
As of today, 8 of the children are still with us that the specialists in various areas believe still need further evaluation and care, and 1 of the adults. And we hope that within the shortest possible time, we'll get them released to their family. We believe family reunion is one of the healing processes, and we will not have reason to delay anybody or keep anybody unnecessarily in the hospital. You may wish to ask what happens thereafter. We have a well-organized social work department, medical social workers, well-organized. We have standby ambulances, and we are working closely with the comprehensive health center that is at Kogi, which is within the locality of the incident, so that if there is...
Health experts say sustained medical care, counseling and psychosocial support will play a crucial role in helping the 44 rescued victims recover fully and reintegrate into normal life despite the trauma they had to endure. Bukola Oriire, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has announced a donation of 50 million naira as support package for 5 families affected by the recent kidnapping incident in Oriire local government area of Oyo State. Senator Akpabio made this announcement during plenary today, stating that the financial support is part of efforts to provide support for the affected families following the tragic incident. 10 million naira each for the families of the 3 servicemen who lost their lives during the rescue operation, and for families of the 2 teachers who were killed. Our correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
The upper chamber resumes for plenary, presided over by the President of the Senate. Lawmakers had barely settled as one lawmaker raised a motion, a familiar request, seeking a probe into the fake agency controversy. But again, the motion was rejected.
Controversy surrounding the purported Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council.
The President has set up a high-powered committee to investigate the subject matter from the formation of the fake agency all the way to budgetary provision and offices and opening of accounts and all that. I rule in favor of the Senate that this issue is suspended.
The persistent challenge of insecurity once again dominated proceedings in the Senate as lawmakers revisited the recent rescue operation in Oriire.
So today we just felt, after discussion with the leadership, that we want to also support the victims' families. Like the young lieutenant was just 28 years old when he died in that operation. So we are sending a token of 50 million naira to them to be divided into the 5 deceased families. The family of the 2 teachers, the family of the 3 operatives who lost their lives, 10 million each on behalf of the Senate. So if this is the view of the Senate, those in support say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Senator Abdul Ningi calls for equity.
Now calls for the attention of the Senate to also create a compendium of other security personnel who lost their lives all across Nigeria, so that the Senate will dish out the same treatment. It is not going to be emergency, but we should have a compendium. And the reason why I read this too, so that the Senate should not discriminate. Every citizen deserves our attention.
Similarly, another lawmaker raises alarm over fresh killing of 20 persons in Benue South.
Senate alarmed by the sudden coordinated and fresh attacks launched on Ondo Uboju on July 14, 2026, which has thrown the entire local government area into a state of panic, widespread displacement, and severe humanitarian crisis.
The Senate's resolved to mandate its committees on police affairs, defense, intelligence, and national security to engage with heads of security agencies to evaluate ongoing operations in the region. Dissatisfied, the lawmaker, after plenary, addresses the media.
We are supposed to have government in place that should contain the situation, and it is not being done.
Now, according to the Senate's minority leader in that media briefing, there is growing agony and trauma of people still being attacked, and that the situation has come to an intolerable level. He's asking the relevant authorities to fulfill their oath of offices to address insecurity. Otherwise, he says, they will feel compelled to take matters into their own hands. From the National Assembly, Gloria Omezuke, Channels Television News.
And staying with security matters, this time in Kogi State, where security forces are hunting gunmen who abducted 5 people, including a principal, a NECO official, and 2 students from a government secondary school in Odo-Ekina. While 1 student has been rescued, a massive multi-agency operation involving the military, police, and local hunters is underway to save the remaining 4. Governor Usman Ododo has directed the mission utilizing advanced technology to track the assailants, and officials have revealed the site was an unauthorized miracle center for exams, operating outside official security protocols. Authorities have also asked residents to provide intelligence as the search for the victims and their perpetrators intensifies. Meanwhile, police say that the abductors are now demanding 10 million naira ransom. And in the north-central region of the country, the governor of Benue State, Hyacinth Alia, has vowed to ensure justice is served on perpetrators of the violent attacks on Otukpo Nobi, where 8 persons were killed. Governor Alia disclosed this in Otukpo when he visited the Ochidoma, His Royal Majesty John Elaigu Odogo, to commiserate with the families of the victims and community and the survivors, some who are still receiving treatment at the medical facility in Otukpo.
Residents of Otukpo Nobi community in Otukpo local government area of Benue State woke up to violent attacks on Sunday morning, leaving 8 persons dead and 11 others injured. Drew crowds of protesting youths along the Makodi through Otukpo to Enugu highway, with demands that Governor Hyacinth Alia attend to the persistent security threats in the area. Governor Alia heeds their call as he visits the Idoma Kingdom and her paramount ruler, His Royal Majesty John Elaigu Odogo, at the Ochidoma's palace, where he meets with some grieving residents, traditional and political leaders. Alia condemns the killings, vowing to ensure justice, and those responsible will face the law.
4 days ago, I was aware of the attacks where we lost, some lives were lost. Then 2 days later, we had similar attacks. And then this morning, I understand that in Ogobia, there had been some attack.
For the Ochidoma, the governor's presence goes beyond protocol, as he says it reassures grieving families that they are not alone in their moments of pain and loss.
Protect and preserve any of your neighbor that's surrounding you. I got information was passed across, it was not acted upon, and that is what brought us where we are today.
From the palace, the governor heads to the Federal University of Health Sciences Teaching Hospital, Otukpo, where survivors continue to recover from their injuries. From one hospital bed to another, he offers prayers, words of encouragement and hope to patients and their families.
Women and children are attacked. I think that touches the core. of anybody's mind at all.
While investigations continue and security agencies intensify search for the perpetrators, the people continue to call for justice as they call for efforts to end the persistent attacks on their communities.
In part two, after the break, final group of Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arrived safely in Lagos as federal government concludes emergency repatriation operation amid renewed xenophobic tensions. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Normalcy gradually returns to Oriire communities in Oyo State as rescued peoples and teachers reunite with families, schools reopen, businesses resume, security remains, and injured victims receive treatment. Senate President Godswill Akpabio announces 50 million naira support package for 5 Oriire kidnapping victims and families in Oyo State following the recent abduction incident. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, says proposed state police bill includes constitutional safeguards against abuse, prevents political control, and allows federal intervention where state police services fail. And Iran threatens to block more trade routes as U.S. military launches second wave of strikes abroad. The House of Representatives has said that the proposed state police bill before the National Assembly contains strong constitutional safeguards to prevent any governor or political actor from turning a state police service into a private security force, while also providing clear conditions for federal intervention if a state police service fails. Mr. Abbas Tajuddin made this known today at the National Security Roundtable held as part of the 2026 National Assembly Open Week in Abuja. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
On the police.
The National Security Roundtable, organized as part of the 2026 National Assembly Open Week, brought together lawmakers, security experts, traditional rulers, diplomats, and development partners to deliberate on the proposed state police bill and wider security reforms aimed at improving safety, strengthening institutions, and enhancing national security.
This very important dialogue.
The Executive Secretary of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund, Mr. Henry Nwawoba, says effective security reforms must be driven by research, data, and global best practices.
As the legislature drafts, reviews, and passes laws on national security, it requires timely access to research, historical precedent, and predictive analysis. Evidence policymaking equips legislators with the deep research and global best practices they need to sponsor security bills.
Governor Basani of Kaduna State advocates intelligence-led policing, stronger interagency cooperation, and the deployment of technology to combat emerging security threats.
Nigeria today confronts a security environment that is vastly more complex than that envisaged by the framers of the 1999 Constitution. Banditry, kidnapping for ransom, terrorism, farmer had accomplished transnational organized crime, cybercrime, illicit arms trafficking, and attacks on schools have evolved into multidimensional threats that transcend conventional policing. They require institutions that are agile, intelligence-driven, technologically enabled, and sufficiently close to the communities they are established to protect.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Abbas Tajuddin, insists that the executive bill on state police has been carefully drafted to ensure accountability, independence, and oversight while protecting the rights of citizens against abuse of power.
I understand the concern that many people bring to this discussion, and it is a reasonable one. It is the fear that a state police could become the private army of a governor or a political godfather. The people who drafted this bill had the same fear, and they answered it. A state appoints its commissioner of police on the recommendation of the National Police Council. The State Assembly must confirm that appointment, and only a 2/3 majority of the Assembly can remove the officer, and even then, only for a good cause. If a state police breaks down or falls into the wrong hands or turns against the very people it should protect, the Constitution allows the federal police to step in.
Participants at the roundtable expressed optimism that the deliberations and recommendations will strengthen the proposed state police legislation and contribute to a more effective, accountable, and people-centered security architecture for Nigeria. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Nigeria's evacuation of its citizens from South Africa has now been concluded with the arrival of the final batch of 306 returnees. The total number of the returnees so far is over 1,400 across 7 flights. Our aviation correspondent Bukola Jo Ketumbi reports.
The Air Peace aircraft taxied in, and shortly after, the returnees file out. It's been a hectic but rewarding repatriation exercise for the federal government, which reiterates that the safety of Nigerians abroad is a high priority, and discussions are on to bring the remnant remaining back home.
The federal government has done its bit, and we are trying to see what we can do with regards to that, because we have some remnants of it. But I must say that these are people that didn't show up for screening when we were asking them to come. So they made up their mind late.
Several state governments and individuals have signaled readiness to support returnees, but there is an appeal to 11 others to assist.
Ebonyi, Ogun, Kogi, Oyo, Ondo, Kwara, Ekiti, Osun, and Rivers. So we appeal to these 11 states to please contact us for the details of their returnees and do something for them. They need rehabilitation. 2
of the returnees say it's time to head home to reunite with family.
Yeah, I have relatives, I have parents, I have my mom, I have my dad. They are both here in Lagos State. I've been doing something before I left. I used to be a teacher, I used to be a banker before I left for South Africa. So now I have to synchronize to the community or the environment and see how fast I can be able to integrate. Back here, Nigeria is waiting for me.
So do you have relatives in Lagos?
Yes, I do have 3 younger brothers in Lagos.
With the arrival of this final batch, Nigeria now brings to a close its emergency evacuation of Nigerians from South Africa following the xenophobic tensions. While the flights may have come to a close, attention now shifts to the resettlement and reintegration of the returnees. From the Nako area of the Muritala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, Bukola Jo Oketumbi, Channels Television News.
To environmental issues now, where Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has visited residents of Ogombo in the Etiosa local government area of the state following the recent flooding in the area. The governor's visit, which was in response to the outcry on social media, was to assess the extent of the flooding. On arrival, Governor Sanwo-Olu and some cabinet members waded through the flooded roads to inspect the situation and interact with the affected residents, who are now calling on the government to implement immediate and lasting flood control measures to enable them return to their homes, businesses, and normal day activities.
Ogombo Road in Etiosa local government area has been completely submerged, cutting off movement and disrupting residents' daily activities.
It's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. You can see I'm parking out from Ogombo.
Residents say the flooding has made life unbearable and are urging the government to provide an urgent and lasting solution.
This flood carry many people house. People are suffering for this Ogombo, Etiosa local government in Lagos State.
We want government to channel a gutter to this place because almost the problem that we're having in this place is the problem of gutter.
We couldn't even go out to get food. And even the shops where they sell things, nobody is supplying them.
Triggered by heavy rainfall and poor drainage, the flooding prompts Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Deputy Governor Kadri Hamzat and other officials to inspect the affected community. The flood has halted tricycle operations, while canoes have become the only means of transportation along the submerged road.
In any disaster, one will find one opportunity to survive. But mine is not just because of the business. I won't be happy to see women carrying back in their children, carrying heavy loads, and will be stranded. So I have to come up with this to assist them.
This water is too much. Imagine canoe is collecting 3,000 per head. Sometimes they will even tell you 5,000 naira.
From Ogombo, the inspection team moves to Songotedo to assess flooded areas and overflowing drainage channels, serving both Songotedo and Ogombo communities. At Betu in Wereku in Awoyaya, Ibeju, Lekki, school children and residents wade through floodwaters daily, renewing calls for a permanent solution.
This year is the most worst one. But with our own experience, we see that the coastal road they have blocked everything.
This place is just phase one of the water. Those of us living inside, very close to the coastal side here, in my own personal compound, water is reaching me inside I'm wearing rain boots. After wearing that rain boots, water will be entering inside the rain boots.
We are actually begging, please, for him to do something for our community.
Governor Sanwo-Olu urges developers and property owners to obtain drainage clearance before embarking on any construction projects.
Here where we're standing now, we need to come back here at some point before the end of it and come and raise the decon part so that the height will be higher, right, and that the water can flow even a lot more. The other thing is that the swarm boogies that are walking down will get here at some point to ensure that the size of the body of water is maintained. Once all of that is maintained, at least on this corridor, the water will eventually find itself, to the Lekki Lagoon or into the main lagoon at some point.
The state government is constructing a major drainage channel along Chevron Drive to tackle recurring flooding on the island.
This is another body of water that will give relief to this large channel that is coming. And at the back there where those white buildings are, there is another channel all the way from the Kota River that will go and discharge onto the lagoon. So there are two outlets that you're seeing here that are going to discharge onto the lagoon, and we believe these two solutions will significantly relieve some of the pressures we're seeing, even from the other side, all the way from Orchid, all the way from Megamond, all the way from Oshapa, London. This is where you see the exit onto the lagoon.
The Lagos state government says it remains committed to tackling climate change and urges residents to keep drainage channels free of waste.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's inflation rate slows to 15.91% in June, the first decline in 3 months, despite rising food prices. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. Let's shift gears now to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Millicent Walker is standing by. Over to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Anne. Good to see you. And it's another day of commissioning for the FCT minister. This time, President Bola Tinubu has defended the provisions of 40 residential housing units for judges of the Federal High Court, the FCT High Court, and the Court of Appeal. Representing the president at the commissioning of 20 housing units for judges of the FCT High Court, Katampe, the Attorney General of the Federation states that contrary to criticism suggesting influence on the judiciary, it's an intervention project. Our correspondent, Kumbia Boluwade, has more.
The Federal Capital Territory Administration in October 2024 embarked on the construction of 40 housing units for judges of the Federal High Court, the FCT High Court, and the Court of Appeal. Out of the 40 housing units, the FCT administration is commissioning these final 20 housing units for judges of the FCT High Court, and gathered in Katampe to witness the ceremony are legal luminaries, top management staff of the FCT administration, among others.
Thank you very much.
Speaking during the event, the FCT Chief Judge appreciates the gesture and attributes it to a worthy partnership between the executive and judiciary.
As beneficiaries of this laudable initiative, we do not take this gesture for granted. We receive it with humility, gratitude, and renewed commitment to duty. Today's ceremony also represents a worthy partnership between the executive and the judiciary in pursuit of common constitutional objectives, order, and good governance.
On his part, the FCT minister defends the provision of the housing units for the judiciary.
Where you have now, I'm sure most of you would have read in social media when I was being accused of grabbing land. This is part of the land I was grabbing. You know, when you're in a position and you want to do the right thing, people will come up to say all kinds of things. But for us, we must continue to be focused and do our job.
The Attorney General of the Federation is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, and he delivers the President's message in response to criticism of his administration.
I am aware of media commentary from certain quarters suggesting that the FCT administration's provision for judges' quarters is intended to exert improper influence on the judiciary. And for the opting time, I say that this is an intervention project and has nothing to do with the project or budget of the judiciary, which is intact and is ongoing and is respected. These facilities are meant to inspire commitment, free our judicial officers to focus on their solemn duties, to preserve the rule of law, enable them to adjudicate without discomfort, and provide the fulfillment and security that allow them to give their very best to the nation.
With the speeches done, the official commissioning takes effect and a tour follows.
Thank you.
The judges' quarters consist of 25-bedroom duplexes, 23-bedroom domestic quarters, dedicated power infrastructure and utility services, an event center, among others. In addition to this newly commissioned 20 judges' quarters for judges of the FCT High Court, the minister has promised an additional 20 housing units for the same set to be completed before the end of President Bola Tinubu's administration. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
Elsewhere, the chairman of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Mr. Ibrahim Shema, has appealed to Nigerians to continue supporting President Bola Tinubu's administration, saying sustained public backing is crucial to tackling insecurity and other socio-economic challenges facing the country. Mr. Shema made the appeal during the commissioning of the Tinubu Diko Women and Youth Center, established to mobilize support for the re-election of President Tinubu and Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State ahead of the 2027 general elections.
This is the commissioning ceremony of the Tinubu Diko Women and Youth Center, established by former Katsina State Governor Mr. Ibrahim Shema under the Tinubu Diko Again 2027 initiative. The event is attended by supporters of the All Progressives Congress, including women and youth groups from the 3 senatorial districts of the state. It is aimed at strengthening grassroots mobilization for the party and its candidates ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Some of the decisions, critical decisions that Asuaje Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken in Nigeria as the president of this country, and the ones taken by our governor, Diko Umar Rada, were decisions that may be very difficult for Nigerians. But these decisions are necessary to correct the problems that bedevil Nigeria as a country in terms of economy, security, and social well-being of our people.
The former governor also urged women and youth across the country to remain steadfast in their support for the current administration, announcing plans to establish similar mobilization centers in all 34 local government areas of Katsina State.
I am asking all men and women of goodwill in Nigeria and our friends from the international community to support us so that we have all hands on deck in order to fight this menace of insecurity, kidnapping, and banditry. Whether it's in Katsina, or it's in Oyo, or it's in Zamfara, or any other part of this country.
A committee is also inaugurated to coordinate the activities of the center at the state, local government, ward, and polling unit levels.
And this center was organized throughout the state under the patron of the leader, our former Governor Ibrahim Shema, to support the re-election of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The Katsina State Chairman of the Renewed Hope Ambassadors urged Nigerians to support government's efforts in addressing insecurity.
I want to tell the people of Katsina that our past leaders have made valuable contributions to the development of the state.
The newly inaugurated committee is expected to drive grassroots mobilization and coordinate campaign activities across the state in support of President Bola Tinubu, Governor Dikko Umaru, and other APC candidates ahead of the 2027 general elections.
From politics to business, Will Ebong is up next. Thank you, Millicent. Nigeria's headline inflation eased slightly to 15.91% in June from 15.93% in May, and that's according to the latest consumer price index released by the National Bureau of Statistics. Now, the decline marks the first slowdown in 3 months, in line with projection made by a financial derivatives company. And now, month on month, we see inflation also eased to 1.66% from 1.75%. And despite the slight improvement, food prices continue to climb. Food inflation rose to 17.52% from 16.96% in May. Core inflation, however, that eased to 15.92% from 16.82%. Now, the latest figures come ahead of the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee meeting next week, where policymakers are expected to assess inflation trends before deciding on interest rates. Now we're checking with the domestic equities markets, where the rebound we saw yesterday was short-lived as the oil share index fell today by 0.21%. Here's Larry Williams with the highlights.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it's another trading day, and it's closed now at this point, but we had to pull back today. It's been like a ping-pong movement so far from Monday. Starting off in the red, coming up to the Tuesday green close. But now for the midweek trade, 0.21% drop there for the all share index and market cap 156 trillion. Let's look at some of the top movers. Now see First Holdco. This one's been on a run for a while now. 9.98% advance, closing at 79 naira 35 kobo. And we see Legend Internet 4 naira 85, closing up 8.99%. Let's look at some of the laggards today at the close of trade. We see International Breweries there pulling back 6.12%. Closing at 13 naira 5 kobo. We did get inflation data today. That's a slight ease. We'll see how investors react to that going forward.
Thank you, Larry. Now let's get a snapshot performance for other major equities around the world. And that's business news. I'm Will Ibang. It's over now to Anne. Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, Iran is threatening to block more trade routes in the region as the U.S. airstrikes against the country continues. And according to Iranian Revolutionary Guards, the Strait of Hormuz will remain shut until the United States ends its so-called acts of aggression. Now let's join Simon Pizzo with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
We will under no circumstances allow the United States to interfere in the management of the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran has threatened to block further trading routes in the region as the US launched a fresh wave of strikes on military targets. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said that the Strait of Hormuz would remain shut until the US ended its acts of aggression. They also threatened to close off other regional oil and gas export channels. US military central command said it Iran's Navy operation overnight. Fresh hostilities in the US have served to underscore the strategic importance of the strait to the global economy. The renewed attacks have also triggered a sharp rise in oil prices as tanker traffic through the vital shipping route has virtually stalled. 3 people have been killed following an overnight Russian attack on the Black Sea port of Odessa, that's according to a local official. Governor of the Odessa region said the massive drone and missile strike marks the 5th day in which Russia had attacked the region. The Russian Ministry of Defense said it had deliberately targeted port infrastructure used for the unloading of petroleum oil and lubricants. The attacks come as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen visits Kyiv to discuss cooperation between Europe and Ukrainian defense industries. The outgoing UK Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has declared the end of my political journey as he spoke at the dispatch box during an emotional final Prime Minister's questions. The Prime Minister began by paying tribute to Anne Widdecombe, saying he was truly horrified by her death, while Kemi Badenoch described the former Conservative MP as a woman of high principle.
She was a distinguished politician with deep convictions, whose vivid and fearless character captured the public imagination. My heartfelt condolences go out to all of her friends and all of her loved ones.
Leader of the opposition.
Starmer thanked Badenoch for her support when there was an arson attack at his family home and his brother's death. In turn, Badenoch praised Starmer for inviting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to Downing Street after his angry exchange with Donald Trump.
I thank her for her comments about Ukraine. We have stood united on Ukraine. He was evicted from the Oval Office. He left alone. He got a plane. We got him to come to London, and I asked him to come to Downing Street straight away. And I walked out to meet him. I gave him a hug, and then I showed him what was in the street, which was many people who had come thinking that he was visiting Downing Street. And the moment he got out the car and hugged me, they cheered on the top of their voices, the British people, to tell President Zelensky exactly what they thought.
Away from the business of PMQs, there was extra time for football jokes.
I think that's the first and sadly probably the last time I'll be compared to Jude Bellingham. But I thank him for that. And on the question of red cards, I can't tell him how much incoming I had a week ago Monday after President Trump intervened for their red card, for me to get the England red card adjusted. Just for the record, Mr. Speaker, I didn't attempt.
Peru's president-elect, Keiko Fujimori, has formally received her credentials at Lima's Grand National Theatre ahead of her inauguration on the 28th of July, becoming the first woman elected to the country's presidency. She won by fewer than 50,000 votes out of more than 18 million cast, one of the narrowest margins in recent Latin American history, and now inherits a deeply divided Congress. Another round of slow-moving storms packing heavy rain is pounding an already drenched area of southern Texas. The relentless rain, up to 16 inches so far, has led to dozens of water rescues in the region, and forecasters are warning more rainfall could be catastrophic. More than half a year's worth of rain could fall in the hardest hit areas by the end of the week. At least 45 people have been pulled from floodwaters in the country by the end of Tuesday. And a cryptic puzzle beaming from LED wheels atop Adobe's headquarters has been cracked 3 years after it was switched on.
I don't give up very easily. I thought I could solve it.
Software engineer Brian Vincent worked out that the rotating circles were encoding pixel colors for Botticelli's The Birth of Venus. It is only the third such semaphore since they first appeared on the building in 2006. A fourth puzzle is already in the works. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Reigning champions Argentina came from behind to beat England 2-1 and reached their second World Cup final in a row where the Wolves faced Spain. Anthony Gordon put England ahead in the 55th minute, but Enzo Fernandez equalized 30 minutes later, and Lautaro Martinez headed in the winner in stoppage time from Lionel Messi's cross. Argentina will have a chance to become the first team since Brazil in 1962 to win back-to-back World Cups. Away from the World Cup, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria have been drawn in Group B against Black Satellites of Ghana, Togo's Junior Sparrowhawks, and Burkina Faso's Young Stallions in this year's WAFU-B Under-20 Championship. The draw conducted earlier today put the host, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin Republic, and Niger Republic in Group A. The 7-time champions defeated Ghana 2-1 in the final to win the last edition in 2024. The championship, which will be hosted in Côte d'Ivoire, will serve as the qualifying tournament for the 2027 Under-20 African Cup of Nations in Ghana. And of course, the Super Falcons striker Chiwendu Ihezue has admitted that the 14th edition of the Women African Cup of Nations in Morocco will be much tougher than the last edition held in the same country a year ago. However, she believes the Super Falcons have the magic to pull the chestnut out of the fire and secure a ticket to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup while retaining the trophy. Nigeria will begin a title defense against Malawi on July 28th. That's sports. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Normalcy has gradually returned to Oriire communities in Oyo State as rescued pupils and teachers have been reunited with their families. Schools are reopening, businesses have resumed, and security remains as injured victims continue to receive treatment. And Senate President Godswill Akpabio has announced 50 million naira support package for 5 Oriire kidnapped victims and families in Oyo State following the recent abduction incident. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. Good night and please stay safe.